This isn't 2016 where people just supported him because he was cool and it was different. This is people are seriously hurting because of the Biden administration. And these are not quick fixes. So I went to DC. I don't like DC. I've spent probably less than 40 days of my entire life in Washington, DC. And that's a weird thing for a political pollster to say, but it's one of the reasons that I'm still trustworthy and independent. And this isn't to say that most people in Washington, D.C. are corrupted, but most people in Washington, D.C., in my opinion, having talked to a lot of them, is that they are inside a bubble. They look, act, feel, talk, engage in news in a very different way than what I'm used to. It just feels there's like an edge of hubris and narcissism. And I'm not calling these people like narcissists. I'm just saying like there's an aspect of we are controlling the world. That's just, in my opinion, it feels built in. And they're also engaged, in my opinion, in the palace intrigue of what's happening in Washington, D.C., and not really connected with the outer world. And I'll give you some explanations of why I think that. But that's really bad, because if the temperature increases in the outer world and Washington, D.C. doesn't know it, it's like that's how you get the torches and the pitchforks. And I think it's valid to be concerned about that kind of thing, because Americans think that our agencies kill presidents. They think that the news is manipulated. They think the justice system has been weaponized against political opponents and that there's a civil war coming. Like, you've seen the numbers. It's not good. 90% of them are concerned about political violence. But this is what I was greeted with when I drove up to the White House. I got to go into the parking gate. It was cool. They had the horses and they were there doing practice for the Saudi crown prince formal state visit. And again, everybody in the White House was like, oh, this is so cool. The horses are here. There's going to be a flyover. We get to do like this rehearsal. Oh, we've never done anything like this. It's so new and different. And I'm thinking, well, it's like he just got yelled at by his base for defending H-1Bs and Chinese student visas and spending too much time dealing with foreign dignitaries when we have crises on the home front. And it's like, okay, well, here's one more foreign dignitary and he's getting a flyover and America's not getting a flyover. I don't even know if the White House, Steve Bannon was covering this live. And I don't even think the White House had like cameras on the flyover. Maybe, but there's my West Wing badge. It was kind of cool. Went through security, got escorted into the waiting room in the White House, sitting there drinking a coffee. Really nice staff, very hospitable. Had a good time, waited for about half an hour. And then I got to hang out with JD Vance. Talked to him a lot. I talked to JD. I met Susie Wiles and Marco Rubio, and we talked about polls for about 45 minutes. And I was very, very pleasantly surprised, very, very overwhelmed by how nice Susie Wiles and Marco Rubio were. Marco seems like the kind of guy you'd want to go have a beer with. He was very focused on his job, was interested in understanding what Americans thought about their successes overseas. Unfortunately, the answer is like people don't know. And we haven't even really done that much polling. Like, his approval numbers are hard to parse because people just don't understand what he's doing. And I think we asked about foreign policy once or twice and Donald Trump got rated pretty okay. It's like hard for me to remember. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not an area we're failing at, Marco, is the best I could tell him, right? So keep doing what you're doing. And he was trying to make the case that the stuff we're doing overseas is helping Americans. And I agree, Trump administration maybe could do better at selling that. Now, Susie, what I was surprised at was very, she's worked in a lot of like older Republican circles. I think she was involved in Bush politics. She was involved in DeSantis politics. And I was very pleasantly surprised at how much she understood about the things that I had been saying about this new populist aspect, this political realignment around a different set of values, and about specifically the messaging and what was working and what wasn't working. And then JD like gets it. He really gets it. And I think he agrees with a lot of stuff I was saying and was using it kind of as like a foot in the door to say, well, like, here's a new point of view. Like, consume this point of view and incorporate it into the system with which we make assessments and decisions. I don't know. I mean, it was just me telling people stuff, and I tell people stuff a lot on the internet, but it was like trying to get a very pointed message about like, how do we fix this? what is the fix? I met with Donald Trump. We got 45 minutes together when he was eating his lunch with Susie and JD. And I don't know. They didn't tell me what I'm allowed to say and what I'm allowed not to say. I'm obviously not going to say a lot, but I can't even really remember a lot because conversation was like everything. It was just like all over stuff. And it was like back and forth between the stuff that was going on, the questions he had. And it was all, none of it was new. I mean, it's like, yeah, the Epstein thing was bad, but understand that it reflects the, step back. And I guess like I put a lot of it across. We explained that no, the market might be good, but it's not good for the youth, that they can't buy houses, that it's more than just grocery prices, and that there's something deeper going on than just the economy. There's this aspect of institutional trust. And that's why people have questions about things like the Butler assassination, about the Kirk assassination, about the Epstein situation, is because people still don't trust the government. And I made the case. The FBI raided Mar-a-Lago. People thought it was the Gestapo. And now Kash Patel's in charge of the Gestapo. It's like you haven't gone through the process of fixing these institutions for Americans. And I told him his numbers are good. Like they're good. They're better than the other presidents right now. And it's like, well, why didn't that convert to more success in the off-cycle election? And that's because he had more independent and Democrat support than the exit polls say. And that's because the exit polls are polls and I don't trust them. I trust my numbers. And my numbers said that 40% of Trump's support came from Democrats and independents. And I think that that was like kind of news to them. I like, again, there's so many polls out there. Like, how do you know who to trust? Right. But kind of the way, and again, this happened over a very long and developing conversation. But to summarize the message I think I got across is that this isn't 2016 where people just supported him because he was cool and it was different and Hillary was a bad candidate. This is people are seriously hurting because of the Biden administration. And these are not quick fixes. It's going to be a lot more. And so America hasn't been fixed yet. And that they need to convince America that the Trump administration, he said, fight, fight, fight at the Butler rally. I think a lot of people looked at that and said, well, fight, fight, fight for this, or fight, fight, fight that. Or they projected onto Donald Trump what they wanted him to fight for. And quite frankly, it was for the future of America. But I don't think that was ever put down into a plan that says we're going to fight, fight, fight for America. And I think Donald Trump's approval rating will probably increase. I think his policies will bear fruit. I think he will be a good president for the rest of his term. But the Republicans are on track to lose. That's the problem. And right now, it appears that he's fighting them and that his message isn't single-threaded on the issues that affect Americans. In fact, there might not even be acknowledgement that there are these issues that affect Americans, certain ones. Like I talked about the housing thing. It's like, oh, people are going to work for 18 years before they can have a house, you know? And again, JD and Susie know Trump way better than me. And so they were taking my words and trying to get them into him with the right. That happens. But I said, okay, well, like create the fight, fight, fight plan for America. And what does that look like? Well, fight for the restoration of the economic plenty, the American dream. The young people need jobs and to be able to afford houses again. And that takes a lot. That takes a lot. And it's not going to be done. Maybe not even in 3 years, but certainly not in one. And so lay out a plan and bring America along the ride. Lay out what you're going to do and achieve these milestones next year in advance of the election. Convince America that these solutions will continue. The second, visible restoration of institutional trust. Fix the agencies. Go through the process. Have internal investigations. Release the names of the people who were spying on mama bears at school boards and the people who weaponized the IRS against conservative groups. Name those people, fire them. You don't have to arrest them. Kick them out of the agencies. Show America these agencies have been fixed. And again, might not be a one-year thing, but it needs to start and people need to know it continues. And then third, fight the oligarchy. Don't be the oligarchy. We are ruled, in my opinion, by a corporatist oligarchy. Trump takes advice from a lot of these people. A lot of these people are his donors. And I said, I think people want to drink billionaire tears. That's part of the process. So, I mean, that's long story short. That's what I think I tried to get across, but it was messy. And we talked a lot about, there was a lot of talk about, golf stuff and the stuff going on with statues. And it was really cool. I mean, I never met Trump before. It was a great honor to be able to meet him under those circumstances, to be able to feel like I'm giving advice that maybe will help and have a difference, impact maybe for my kids. So Senpai noticed me and it was awesome. And I really liked it. Then I got a little bit of tour of the rest of the White House. Here's the Rose Garden. This was kind of fun. I got to see the auto pen. If people aren't aware, this is the place where the Joe Biden like portrait should be. And it ain't there no more. And yeah, that's beautiful.